Okay, StreamYard says it's recording. So, hey everyone. If you have never seen me before, I am Jill, aka Jilly Beans. That's how I am known, mostly on these YouTube streets. And if you saw the title of this recording, let's chat about grief. So, why are we chatting about grief today? So, yesterday was my mom's birthday, and I lost my mom in 2018. She would have been 71 years old yesterday. And, when she passed away, I knew she was young. But now that I am getting older, it's really hitting how young she was when she passed away. And yesterday I was thinking a lot about grief, and there's just so many emotions tied with grief. And to be honest, let's just call a spade. Grief just fucking sucks. It just does. And grief never truly ever goes away. Um, there's just you. I don't know if I want to say you learn to live with it, but you do kind of find this new normal without that person in your life. What I have learned about grief recently is grief is comes in many forms, and that it's not always about a person. It's not always about the loss of a loved one. You grieve situations, you grieve things in your past that you no longer have, like a job or a house or something. And for myself, I have unfortunately learned that along with betrayal, part of that journey, that process, there is grief associated to that as well. As if betrayal is not painful enough, let's just tack on a little bit of grief to make it extra special, right? But so I was thinking about my mom yesterday, and I will fully admit I have missed her a lot. Um, I have had a rough couple of years. I was really sick a few years ago, and just things happening in my life. And I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're a man or a woman, but there are times in your life that you just want your mom. Like, it's like you're 5 years old again and you just want your mom. And I can't tell you how many times I have felt that way this last year. And trust me, she was not the person I would go to for relationship advice, but I just needed my mom. I just needed someone to tell me that it was going to be okay. Someone who loves me that was there to tell me it was going to be okay, even if I didn't believe it, even if she didn't believe it. I just so needed that. And I really have missed her this last year. And I find since she's been gone, the year of the first are the worst. That first year without them, that first Christmas, the first birthday, that is the toughest. And since she's been gone, every year's been different. Some years harder, some years not as hard. Some years, it's always just I just always have different feelings around it. And I think that's part of the grief process. But to talk about grief just overall, people will beat themselves up or have people saying to them if they lose someone, "Oh, you're not over that yet." There is no wrong way or right way to grieve. Grief is personal to you, and there's no time limit. There is no, like, in 6 months you should be over A, B, and C. It doesn't work that way. And everyone grieves differently. And one thing I found with grief is it comes when you least expect it. So you expect the first Christmas, the first birthday, Mother's Day, whatever. You expect to feel feelings that day. I have found I would have my grief like hit me when I least expect it, when it's a totally normal day, everything's going fine. Then all of a sudden, I would just get this wave. And the one thing I have learned, one of the lessons I learned is in the past, I did not like to feel the feels, me and the feels, I did not like to feel them. good, bad, and different, it was very hard for me to feel feelings. It's like walls I built up, blah, 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 blah. But I've done work. So I've learned to embrace the feelings. And what I learned with grief was when it came up, if I did not allow myself to feel that feeling, regardless how painful, uncomfortable, at that, if I didn't honor those feelings and tried to shove them down, they just came back 10 times more intense. Now, granted, there's times when it's not appropriate. Like, for instance, I'm at work, I'm on a Zoom call. Like, yeah, that's not the time to process some grief feelings. But when that has happened, I kind of say to myself, okay, we can't do this at this moment, but later on, when we can, we are going to sit in our feelings. And it sucks. But I find that that is how I've gotten through it and how I've managed my life through grief. So, I guess the other thing I just want to say around grief too is how it does apply to so many things in your life. I guess I just never realized or didn't know that at a certain time period when I thought I was sad or upset about something, I was actually grieving a loss. Like relationships, I remember when I was with my oldest son's dad. This was like so many years ago in my 20s. And, not a toxic relation. No, that relationship was not a good relationship. The best thing I got out of that was my son, Jared. Always be grateful for that. But, when it ended, I was still sad. It was like this person had been in my life and had been an important person. Not necessarily a good person to have in my life, but there's still that loss that comes with it. And I know in grief can feel like it's never going to end. So I just guess I wanted to just put something out for one to honor my mom, right? It was her birthday yesterday. She is 71. She loves to be the center of attention. I don't know. Maybe I cut out some of that from her, but her and I had a very, as people have heard me say, complicated relationship. We were very different, but also the same in a lot of ways. And we, you know, it was complicated when I was younger. Things were great. And then things happened when I was young and I kind of, we kind of switched roles at one point and I didn't understand her decisions. She didn't understand my decisions. She was a very codependent woman and being alone was her biggest fear. And that I think was one thing we were so different with. And it's so interesting when I reflect on like how things had transpired between us. I am forever grateful that I had cut my mom out of my life at one point. I needed to. I do not regret that decision. It was the best thing for me at that time. And, it was close to 10 years now. It wasn't like I did have some communications with her around family members, like my brother, whatever, but she was not part of my life. I mean, I had no idea what was going on in hers, and same with me. And then time had gone by, and a window of opportunity opened, and I kind of took the first step because one of the problems with her and I was we're both very stubborn. So that didn't help the situation. But I opened it up slowly and I'm so glad I did now, like in like hindsight's 2020. I'm so glad I did because we slowly started to build up to start to talk and, communicate slowly. Like it wasn't like she was just in my life. It was kind of a slow kind of burn. And then when it needed to really, I don't know, I guess it got like a jump start. My mom had colitis. She'd had it for years and years and years. And she was coming back from Florida and she was dropped in my lap. And she was really, really sick. I ended up in I work in hospital finance. She ended up at the hospital that I worked at, which was great. Just in the sense, like I knew the people on the floor. I coordinated all her care. I had her come to my house. I took care of her for 3 weeks. God help me. I don't know how I did some of the things I did. And when she left to go back to her house, I just remember thinking, like, I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know. She could change. I don't know. I just didn't know. I just took it day by day. And those last 9 months that I had with her were like the best I'd ever had in years. And so I have no regrets. Like, we didn't need to have a big, conversation. It kind of happened holistically. And there were things that she said to family members that were said to me where she acknowledged some stuff, which was really sometimes all I needed to hear. It was just, I have no regrets. Of course, it was like, what the hell? Like, here it is. I'm finally like getting my mom back, and now she's just gone. But the one thing she gave me, her last gift to me, which who knew at the time, was she gave me the gift of spirituality, because it was the loss of her that set me on this path where I am today, meeting my mentor Deb and Kerry and learning how to do cards and all that stuff that's how I process my grief. It gave me something that I'd always been looking for, that I just never knew that's exactly what it was. So at the end of it all, she really gave me the best gift she could have ever given me. Now, granted, if she was alive and saw me doing this, she would think I was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and that's fine. I know that about her, but I know where she is now on the other side. She gets it now, where she wouldn't have got it if she was alive. But that's what I try to remember too. Like, despite the differences, the fights, and the you did this and then whatever's, at the end of it all, she really gave me one of the best gifts she could have ever given me. I'll always remember that. I know it sounds kind of weird, but that's what it is. So I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling. So of course I did pull a quick card, and this is just my power of thought card deck. You know, kind of just for the collective, anyone out there dealing with grief, or you just need to hear a message. And the way this card works, it just has like writing back and front. And I thought it was quite fitting. Of course, every thought I think is creating my future. The universe totally supports every thought I choose to think, and I believe I have unlimited choices about what I think. I choose balance, harmony, and peace, and I express it in my life. So, in other words, we are the makers of our own lives and our own futures. And we have the power to choose what we want that to look like, whatever that is for you. So, yeah, I guess that's it for me. Let's see how well this uploads. And if grief is something anyone is ever interested in talking about, leave a comment and maybe we'll do like a live stream or something and kind of talk more about it and what my process was. Other than that, much love to everyone, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.